Well, the CBI is keeping strictly neutral on the question of the referendum and whether it should be a yes or a no vote. And we're far more interested in the policies that the next Assembly government might come up with that affect business and the economy. Actually, very little of what it does at the moment for business needs further powers. It's much more about delivery. It's about how it spends its money, how effectively it spends its money, and whether it actually delivers rather than just setting policies which never come to fruition. So it's about what they aim to do with those powers, I think, rather than the exact nature of the constitutional settlement. Okay. Well, currently the Welsh Assembly Government has no powers over the taxation system, and actually that won't change this week, irrespective of the result of the referendum, although it may as devolution is a process, it may increase the likelihood that people start to talk about that a bit more. I think it's actually quite a challenging issue. Clearly, low taxation is of benefit to business investment, makes investment more likely to happen. But equally, tax simplification and a level playing field across the UK has a lot of benefits for a lot of attraction for a number of businesses too. I mean, at the moment, there's no clarity over what any future Assembly government, whichever colour it might be, would do with taxation powers. So I think a useful starting point would be for each political party hoping to be elected in Wales to set out very clearly what it is they would do with those powers if they ever got them. The mining industry in any size for 30 years or so now. So if we still have a vacuum left over from that, then we have a real problem. We actually have a more balanced and more diversified economic base now than we've had for some time, and that's good news. But clearly the Welsh economy still lags, and all the statistics don't make very pleasant reading. I think the economy is probably the one area where there hasn't really been a devolution dividend. We put an awful lot of money into economic development, some of it out of the Welsh bloc, some of it from European money. And it's hard for anybody to claim, I think, that we've turned around the trajectory of the economy using that cash. It's probably the biggest disappointment out of devolution so far. And certainly it's an area where the business community wants to work much more closely with the Welsh Assembly Government going forward.
That's exactly
The Assembly Government at the moment gets about 15 to 16 billion pounds to spend through the Barnett Formula. The Holton Commission suggested that should be about 300 million pounds more. So actually, it's a relatively, 300 million pounds sounds like a lot of money. Set against 16 billion, it doesn't sound like such a big deal. Actually, it's about how we're spending the money we've already got and how well we're spending it, how much economic bang we're getting for those bucks, where we're wasting it, where we've just got the priorities wrong. We're trying to spread that money very thinly in some areas, and I mean, our contention is that, frankly, for the next 5 years, for the next Welsh Assembly Government, almost its only priority should be the economy. I think if you look at the drivers of economic growth for the next 5 years, it's not going to be government spending, as it has been for the last decade, and it's not going to be consumer spending, as it has been for the last decade. What's left? Well, what's left to drive the economy is business investment and exports. That's as true in Wales as it is at a UK level. So we absolutely need to see more Welsh companies exporting to a greater proportion of their output to more countries. That's clear, I think. The bad news is that every other country in the world is looking to increase its exports too. So unless we can find a new planet to export our goods to, it's going to be a challenge. But it's a challenge we have to rise to.
Okay. Obviously,